I first heard this poem when I was a teenager. It was introduced to me by a friend who at the time I didn't think of as all that spiritual, but I am forever grateful that she gave it to me. And something about it stayed with me. Even now, all these years later, I find myself returning to its words whenever sorrow visits. Not every time, but often enough to say, this poem has shaped me. Because it offers a perspective I might not have seen on my own. That sorrow is not something that is separate from joy, but deeply, mysteriously connected to it. You know how life feels sometimes like a roller coaster, moments of deep beauty followed by unexpected pain, and we wonder, why can't the good times last? Why must joy just slip through our fingers? But what if it's not slipping away? What if it's simply changing shape? Kahlil Gibran was a Lebanese-American poet and mystic. His work, The Prophet, was first published in 1923 and has become a tireless spiritual guide for millions. It's written as a series of poetic reflections on the human experience: love, pain, children, work, and sorrow. His words are deceptively simple, but they carry echoes of something ancient, something we already know, but may have forgotten. Let's reflect on one of his most powerful teachings, his passage on joy and sorrow. But first, let me share with you how this idea changed the way that I move through life. When I experience sorrow, the loss of someone, the ending of something that I hold dear, or a disappointment that sinks in deep, sometimes I pause and I widen my view. I remember that joy that once came from that person, that place, that moment. I see it all together, not as separate emotions, but as one whole event. A moment in time that held both joy and sorrow. And when I do that, something softens in me. I find that I can feel gratitude. I can feel peace. I can see life from a more universal perspective, where joy and sorrow are not opposites, but dance partners. Life moves like a landscape, a sacred rhythm of peaks and valleys. Those mountaintop moments, they fill us with light. But we don't stay there forever. We descend into the valley, into grief, doubt, stillness. Not as punishment, but as part of the path. Because the valley is where the roots grow deeper, where the ground softens, where we become who we're meant to be. And from that place, we rise again. The joy we feel is not in spite of sorrow, it's because of it. Close your eyes for a moment and take a slow breath. Now, think of a time that you felt sorrow. Was it not also connected to something beautiful? Someone you loved, something you cared about deeply. You feel sorrow because you lived fully, because you felt. Now, let's return to Gibran's words in full. Let them wash over you like ancient rain, not just to be heard, but to be remembered.
On Joy and Sorrow by Kahlil Gibran. Your joy is your sorrow unmasked, and the self-same well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. And how else can it be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Is not the cup that holds your wine the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven? And is not the lute that soothes your spirit the very wood that was hollowed with knives? When you are joyous, look deep into your heart, and you shall find it is only that which has given you sorrow that is giving you joy. When you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Some of you say, joy is greater than sorrow, and others say, nay, sorrow is the greater. But I say unto you, they are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you at your board, remember that the other is asleep upon your bed. Verily you are suspended like scales between your sorrow and your joy. Only when you are empty are you at standstill and balanced. When the treasure keeper lifts you to weigh his gold and his silver, needs must your joy or your sorrow rise or fall.
Joy and sorrow. Two wings, one sky. And I am learning to fly. If this reflection brought light to your heart, I invite you to subscribe, to share this with someone who may be walking through a valley. And if you feel called, tell me in the comments, what times in your life have you noticed how closely joy and sorrow live together? I'd love to hear your story. Let's make this a place of gentle truth and sacred remembering.